Boneyard with Steve Robertson. As always, I am your good friend and host, Steve Robertson. I hope the sound quality is good. I'm using some older equipment. It's, we try to get you some semblance of a show up today. I am on the road in Baton Rouge, as you guys are well aware, covering Mississippi State baseball. We'll probably do a bit of an abbreviated show today. We'll get all of our ad reads in. We'll talk some baseball, talk about the state of Mississippi State baseball, talk about last night's game, talk about tonight's game, and then we'll call it a show. So won't be a full 90 minutes unless something crazy happens, but we'll update you on some things kind of going on around Mississippi State sports. As you guys know, the Mississippi State men's basketball team has seen some players enter the NCAA transfer portal. The latest, Martravius Russell, a backup guard, has entered the portal, which gives you three. Michael Nwoko also goes in the portal. And Kanye Clary, no real surprise on Clary. I know that there were some people that claimed to be well-sourced that suggested Clary would be back next year, but it has pretty much been a foregone conclusion that he would not be back. At the end of the day, I don't know if we ever get the full details of that full story. And maybe we don't want to know. I'd like to know. I just don't think we're ever going to know. But he will no longer be a part of our basketball program. We wish him the best as we try to find what's best for us kind of moving forward. Michael Nwoko going in. Some people kind of upset about that. A couple of things I want to say about that. Michael Nwoko, good player. Not a great player, not a difference maker for us. We need a dominant post in the presence, and so does everybody else, right? But Michael Nwoko leaving is not going to make or break this program. In fact, I think it might actually be better for us to open up that roster spot for a player that can be more physical and be more of a threat offensively. But, you read the social media commentary and people are like, oh, I can't believe this, guys. It's okay. It is. It's okay for an average to an above average player to leave the program to open up the opportunity for Chris Jans to go get somebody who could be more of a difference maker. That's not talking negatively of Michael Nwoko. We appreciate his contributions to Mississippi State basketball, but we need a real center, and again, that comes across a little bit flippant. I don't mean for it to, but we need somebody that can really be a force there in the middle. We got shoved around at times this year. That was one of the things that we talked about in the preseason, is that one of the biggest concerns is how would we play at the five? I don't think anybody right now would say that we were elite or even maybe really good at the five. Keyshawn, of course, had some big moments for us, but he's not a traditional five player. We need that big, wide-bodied, long, lean guy that can go out there and bang around a little bit, and we can run some post-action for him. We just didn't really have a lot of that this year, as you guys know. But Chris Jans knows what he's doing. I know there's a lot of disappointment about the fact that we didn't win an NCAA tournament game this year. I'm disappointed, too. Expected us beginning of the year to get out of the first weekend and perhaps be a Sweet 16 team. Losing 4 or 5 down the stretch pretty much put the death knell into that. I mean, barring a major upset of a 16 versus 1, the chances of us making that a first weekend were going to be slim. And we weren't going to beat Duke. I'd love to have had the opportunity to play the game. We weren't going to beat Duke. So, again, I don't think we hit our ceiling. And I think some of that is roster management, right? You go out and you get the point guard, Kanye Clary, and you feel like, okay, this frees up Hub to run more at the 2. But having 2 guards that are about 6 foot out there is kind of a liability on defense. There's that aspect of it too, right? I mean, we love Hub, but sometimes some people shoot over him. It's part of the deal, right? But, Chris has got some difficult decisions to make, and he'll make them. We trust him to do that, and I know that there is some donorship out there that have very generously kind of committed to, hey, we're going to make sure Chris has the funds he needs necessary to be very competitive in the NCAA transfer portal. And that's a big part of things. Got a lot of comments, too, from many of you that follow women's basketball closely, thanking me for my comments about the Juju Chandler Prater incident that has been incredibly overblown. As you guys know, she is one of us, and there was no malicious intent in that play whatsoever. It's just 2 players playing hard. Not to mention, Juju got banged up in the game before. She's a physical player that plays with great energy and effort. And when you do at times, when you play hard, injuries often are a part of the game. And so it's nobody's fault. It's not Juju's fault. It's not Chandler's fault. But a lot of very positive comments, and thank me for kind of bringing some attention to the matter. I've said my piece on it, but as far as I'm concerned, Chandler Prater is blameless in every bit of this and a Bulldog forever, and we are grateful for her contributions to Mississippi State. Let's thank our friends, the Bulldog Burger Company, longtime sponsors of the show. We love Bulldog Burger Company. Bulldog Burger Company feeds us at the most festive times of our life, right? I mean, outside of getting together for Mother's Day or Thanksgiving dinner or something like that, Bulldog Burger Company is one of those places that is always on the menu, right? When you're thinking about celebrating a big achievement, the kids get straight A's on the report card. Somebody gets accepted to Harvard. You go to Bulldog Burger Company. That's what you do. It's a place for celebration, but it's also a place just to have a nice, quiet and quality lunch with work colleagues, and friends, and family. 3 great locations to serve you: University Drive in Stark Vegas, Gloucester Street there in Tupelo, Lake Harbor Drive in the Virgin Flowwood area. Find your own favorites. I'm back on the pimentology at bacon kick. That's my thing. And occasionally I'll mix in the smokehouse. That's kind of been the move as of late, but I always get those spring rolls. It's how I've been able to maintain this youthful appearance and youthful exuberance lo these many years. So if you're on the way to town or in town, Bulldog Burger Company is the place for you. Bulldog Burger Company, the place where people go to meet, M-E-A-T. Okay, yes, I'm disappointed with last night's result. I am. I am not parading down Burbank, with signs or anything like that, protesting in that respect. But we let one get away. And to be honest with you, I felt that Friday night was probably the one that we would most likely lose. And then we come so close to winning it. And it sucks, man. It does. It's like you get so close thinking, man, this really would set us up well to take this series, to we get their starter. We beat one of the most dominant starters in the country. And we still got Pico to go on Saturday. The whole tenor of conversation would be completely different today if we won last night. And it really felt like we had every opportunity. And against LSU, at some point, the big inning is coming. But you have to be able to kind of sustain it, make the big pitch, get out of it, and then go out there and answer. And we weren't able to do that. But early on, hey, we got off to as good a start as we could have ever have hoped for. Sawyer Reed strikes out swinging, and then Bryce kind of quietly having a really good year, and slaps the ball to right center there, and then Reese, Cade gets behind him 2-0, and he wasn't able to spot up that changeup the first couple times through the order. So State sitting on fastballs, and on 2-0, Ace gets one, and off the bat, everybody in Alex Box Stadium knew that it was gone. The only people that you could hear is that ball sail towards the wall was the Mississippi State dugout. They were stunned. After the home run, he's kind of shaken up. He walks Sullivan, then Hines singles to center field and just kind of fists it out there. Now you got runners on the corners. You got a chance to do some more damage. And anytime that you have a club the quality of LSU, when you get an opportunity to tack on, you have to. Now, we don't this inning, but we do in some others. But after the mound visit, Cade settles down and gets down to strikeout looking, and Aaron has really struggled in SEC play. And then Stevens chops one back out there right side of the mound. Alexander takes it himself. Evan Sierra, I'm going to use this term, and some people may not be comfortable with it, and that's okay. I think you'll make it. But we basically threw off last night. I mean, Sierra, of course, only had one start on the year. And, and what can he do for his team, right? Go out there, be an opener, save Pico for what we feel like maybe is a more advantageous matchup and keep him on his regular day's rest. Evan Sierra is owed a debt of gratitude for Mississippi State, but he comes out here and gives us a good start. It's a 1-2-3 inning there in the first, and so you're thinking, okay, let's go right back to work. Well, Cup flies out to right, and then Joe Powell on a 1-1 count lifts one to left center. I wasn't sure it was going to get out. It took a minute for us to figure that out, and then we do, and again, the eruption from the Bulldog dugout. Reeves goes down swinging, and then Chance pops out to second, and Reeves is not 100%, just so you guys know. I'm just putting that out there, not 100%. All right, bottom of second, and again, State has scored in the first 2 innings, and we get Pearson to strike out. Look, and it's just me, or does it feel like Josh Pearson has been here for 10 years? And the guy's a really good player. Been here a long time. Not a star, but man, a really good player for LSU. We get Milam to strike out swinging. One of the better players in this conference. And then Brown singles to center. And I really thought the lower third of this order hurt us a little bit last night. Really, really. And that's kind of how this thing began to kind of unravel a little bit later in the game. But Brown singles, and then Hernandez, we get the I thought Sawyer was loafing a little bit getting over. I think because of the fact that he didn't sprint to the spot and then make the routine throw, he had to rush the throw. Well, and he does, right? And then we had this, and I just had this discussion on Gene's page. I'm going to explain this as best I can. I hate to use the term dumb it down, but that's what I'm going to attempt to do here. First and third situations are something it's been in baseball forever. You have first and third defenses, right? And so, like when I coached, we basically had 4 plays that we ran on defense in a first and third situation. If I remember it correctly, so we had hat. So, like, you signal this to your catcher. And so the cat, you take off, as your coach, you take off your hat. You take the full hat off. Well, that means we're going to throw through. If I rub the bill, that's called bill, and that means that we're not going to throw. We're just going to let the runner take second, keep the runner there at third. And then we had button, which is on top of the hat, and that means we're going to throw to third. And then we have letter, which was the insignia on our cap. If I touched the letter, then we were going to run the play basically that Mississippi State ran last night. You're going to throw through, but the shortstop is going to undercut the throw and come back home, and you're going to try to get the guy at the plate. That's what we ran. We executed it well, and we're just about a whisker late getting the tag down. That's not a criticism of Joe. It's a bang-bang play. We originally get the call. They review it, and you guys didn't get to see it on TV. We did get to see it in the box. The Hawkeye camera view, he was safe by a fingertip, but he was safe. The call on the field favored Mississippi State. They overturned it, and it was the right call. Now, a lot of people now, of course, blessed with the gift of hindsight, are saying, hey, Cup should have just tagged him. Well, so here's what that runner from first is instructed to do. He's supposed to draw the throw and then avoid getting tagged. And if that means that he has to even run back towards first base, and if you see the screenshots that are out there, and of course people trying to defend this, they don't know what they're talking about. And I'm just going to say it for what it is. The runner from first, his entire job is to get hung up to allow the run from third to score. And people are like, well, hey, Cup could have just tagged him. Well, number one, that's not the play we called. It's not a read and react play because there's no time to think. You run these drills in practice every week. This is what we're going to do in this situation. So he undercuts the throw. He's coming home. He's not looking to see where the runner is. And I've seen some people be critical of Dylan Cup. You're wrong. You are wrong. There's no debate about that. It's not a matter of opinion. You are wrong. He ran the play as designed. And if you remember, and you can go back and watch this, before that scenario set up, Joe goes to the mound and Dylan Cup goes out there too. And that's to basically let everybody know, okay, here's what we're running first and third. And the Cup is your shortstop there, and he's the guy that takes that throw. And so this was a predetermined play. And of course, people are like, well, he could have just went and tagged him. The run's going to score anyway. He's not going to keep running. Like, well, he gave himself up. No, he didn't. He slowed down to give the appearance that he was giving himself up. And how do I know this? Because I've coached and played baseball. That's the play. And every USSSA team in the country runs that play to try to get a cheap run when there's 2 outs. And sometimes before that, when there's runners at first and third, you want to take second and you want to be able to try to take get the runner home from third. That's just how it works. It's a design play by the offense, and there is a complete defensive strategy that you employ, that you work on all off season about first and third defenses. And so I wanted to get that established because while I love all of you, some of you walk-on baseball experts absolutely make me want to vomit sometimes, honest to goodness. So here we go. They score the run, and then we walk Reeves, and then Stanfield grounds out. We force a runner at second. So they get that one run early, and there was a lot of people texting me and tweeting at me saying, how did they overturn that with that call? Well, you guys just didn't get the benefit of the Hawkeye technology. Had you seen that, you would say, yeah, he was safe. And he was. Okay, so big 2-out hit here. And Hunter Hines has been much maligned here as of late, and rightfully so in many respects, because he hadn't come through in clutch situations. He's doing really well right now, hitting .385 against SEC pitching in the midst of a 6-game hitting streak. His first hit of the night, last night, solo home run. 2 outs, 2-2 count. He lifts it, so we get the run right back. And so it's now a 4-1 lead. And again, now State scored in all 3 innings. Bottom of third, and things got a little screwy here too, right? I think sometimes when we shift, you have to, quote, pitch into the shift, right? You don't go up there and shift the third baseman around and then work away and give them the opportunity to just kind of go with the pitch and take it away. You got to pitch inside. And I think we, at times, maybe are a little too cute with that. And Corral basically kind of inside out's a pitch. This is a freshman kid, hit the leadoff for LSU, one of the best programs in the country. And it barely gets over. Like, it's 330 to left. Guys, it was 333. That was the length on that thing. That thing just kind of, it's a wall scraper. But then we come back and Sierra, there's a fly out to right. There's a foul out to Hines. Pearson, again, been there forever. Most people that go to school that long are doctors. And then Malam grounds out the first unassisted. And even that had a little bit of a blister to it, too. All right, top of 4. Again, a chance for us to do some big things here. Leadoff walk to Stevens. And how many times has it happened to us? Where the leadoff walk comes around to score. Well, we do it to them here. Stevens walks, Cup then singles to right field, chases Stevens to third, and then Joe Powell steps up, just does a job. RBI sac, fly out to right field. For a second there, I thought that ball had a chance. And then what do you know? Stevens tags and scores. So we get the run right back. Now all of a sudden it's a 3-run margin again. And so State has scored in 4 consecutive innings. We don't do anything else with that. We get a ground out from Sanders and a chance strikes out swing and lengthy at bat there. Really needed Bryce to come through there. Gives you a chance. But, it is what it is. The bottom of 4, we bring in McPherson. And, again, some people have said, hey, why we pull Sierra? The number one thing that I saw watching Sierra is the loud contact. Like, even in that 3rd inning, there's some loud contact or some loud outs. And second time through the order, it's kind of like they kind of start figuring you out a little bit. Pitch, he's not really worked deep into ball games. The whole plan was for him to serve as an opener. And, of course, we made him throw more pitches than he should have had to throw because of the error, right? You play clean defense behind him, maybe you're able to squeeze another inning out of him. But, again, a quality offense like LSU, you don't want to let them have too many cracks at a guy that's not a seasoned starter. Nothing against Evan. That's just the reality of it. McPherson comes in. There's a single through the right side, and then he gets a pop-up, a ground out, and a strikeout. So we post the 0 there, and you think, okay, let's go add to this thing. And, again, we talk about the importance of extending the lead. And how many times have we gone through that this year? We've had opportunities to extend, and we didn't. Well, here in the 5th, we do. And State scores a run again for the 5th consecutive inning. You start thinking, hey, we're tacking on here. They leave Anderson in, and he gets Reese a strikeout swinging just pretty much as we expected. And they bring in Benj, and the LSU people were almost suggesting this could be a white flag here. Sullivan grounds out to short, and then Hines walks. Lengthy at bat. Great at bat for Hines. So he starts out with, gets the single, gets a home run, and then gets a walk. So 3 consecutive on-base situations for Hunter Hines. Goes to second on the wild pitch. They walk downs, and then Stevens doubles down the left field line, just kind of takes it the other way. And this is a guy, too, that's kind of changing the scout on him. In recent weeks, he has been more willing to take that ball to left field. Kind of inside outs this thing and allows Hines to score. And again, so much of this kind of happens here with 2 outs. Hines starts the rally with the walk, and again, eats up some pitches there. And Stevens comes through and drives him in. So it's 6-2. So we're doing offensively, we're doing just about all the little things right. Getting guys on, getting them over, get a sack fly, get a base hit, you get them in. And it just felt like, you know what, we had a great game plan offensively, and now we have our biggest lead of the ball game at 6-2. Well, Corral comes up again, and again, I think we got a little bit cute. We get in a 2-2 count here, and we try to jam him inside, and we get too far in. It ends up being a walk. And then we walk Jones. Back-to-back walks. Now, here's maybe the first criticism that I'll make. After watching him walk those first two guys, I am going to get him. I'm not going to let him walk a third. You got the 3-hole hitter up there, right? A guy that's already got 6 bombs on the year. And it ended up being a bit of a battle here. And, we get into a 2-2 count. It's a foul ball, goes to full count. And again, that changes your pitch selection a lot because you've already walked 2 hitters. And so in the mind of this pitcher, he's thinking, there is no way I can walk the bases loaded. So I have got to throw a competitive pitch. I got to compete inside the zone. Well, we do, and Dickinson hits a home run. Now it's a 6-5 ball game. This LSU crowd had been sitting on their hands, waiting for something to happen. And then when we walked a couple of guys, they kind of had a sense that we were losing it a little bit. Dickinson hits the home run. All of a sudden, the fans are like, hey, there's a baseball game going on. How did we get here, right? State had dominated this game, and we let them back in. 2 walks back-to-back. And then I will say, if I'm Justin Parker, I'm not letting them pitch to Dickinson. I'm not. Not to mention it's a lefty-righty matchup. It'd be one thing if it's lefty-lefty, and that kind of favors you, not a situation. And then we bring in Burns. And that's not right. It was righty-righty. It was righty-righty. And so, again, I think maybe the fact they were bringing in Burns may have played in the decision a little bit, but I'm not doing it. I'm not letting the guy that walked the leadoff guy and the number 2 guy throw to the 3-hole hitter when he is struggling to find his zone. I'm not doing it. And it doesn't matter if it's McPherson or Hungate. It makes no difference to me. Burns comes in, and he had a tough outing last weekend, had a really good outing in the midweek. Basically worked as a bullpen. He gives up a single to the right side and then a home run to Malam. And now LSU has the lead at 7-6. And it is pandemonium at Alex Box. And then we follow the walk with a 4-pitch walk of Brown. So it is evident at this point that we don't have it. So neither one of those guys retired a hitter in that inning. We bring in Hungate just trying to be a fireman here, and he does. But he opens up with a walk too. And maybe that's because we had to kind of, get him ready quickly. But then Reeves on the fielder's choice. We forced a runner at second. Stanfield reaches on the fielder's choice. They try to squeeze bunt here, and we sniff it out, and we make the play at the plate. They reviewed it, and it was not even close. And then Corral grounds out short. So Hungate comes into a very difficult situation, was able to navigate it without surrendering a run. Chris Simona said he perhaps could be available later in the weekend. Now, they bring in their closer, Zach Cowan, who is legit. And he comes in, and I was wondering, maybe it's a little bit early. I didn't know how deep he'd work, but he was good. And it was so interesting, too, in the 5th, LSU people on the row are thinking, they're bringing in Benj. This is, you guys are going to see a bunch of home runs. The game's fixing to change. This thing's fixing to be over. Maybe LSU can rally tomorrow. They brought in Cowan. He absolutely shuts us down, allows 1 hit the final 4 innings. 1, 2, 3 there in the top of 6. Bottom of 6, we go 1, 2, 3. Hungate I thought was equally as good. But in the end, it didn't matter much. Our top of 7, Reese reaches on a single. Ropes that ball to right. I'm thinking, okay, let's bring him around, bring him in. Sullivan grounds out. They force the runner at second. Hines strikes out swinging the first time he hadn't been on base, and then Downs pops up to the shortstop. But you're thinking, and some of our fans, we're down 7-6 in the 5th, and some of our fans on social media are already ready to give up. Guys, there's no way I'm ever going to give up in a 1-run ball game in the 5th inning. It's not going to happen. I understand the emotional turmoil of having a 6-2 lead and seeing it all evaporate in 1 inning. I get it. I've seen this movie many times before with LSU against us and against others. They're a great team. But no, I'm not giving up. 1 swing away from tying this thing up. And then again, Hungate goes 1-2-3 in the bottom of the 7th, top of 8. We strike. Zach strikes out the side, and it's Stevens, Cup, and Powell. So that's 6, 7, 8 for you. So you're going to have a ninth inning rally. However, in the 8th, Reeves again, bottom third of the order, singles to left. Stanfield gets the bunt down. We bring in Nate Williams in place of Hungate. Wild pitch basically gives them third base, and that all we this run here, every bit of this after Hungate left the game, is on Nate. Wild pitch sends him a third. We get the strikeout looking here, and then it's a wild pitch allowed the run to score. And it doesn't matter if you lose by 8 or lose by 2. I mean, a loss is a loss, but you're trying to give yourself a chance in the 9th, and you gift them a run there. It's unacceptable. And then they get Jones to strike out swinging, and Jones. Great player. I think we've had a pretty decent game plan. I'm eager to see how Pico pitches him. And then the 3rd, we go 1-2-3. And, it's part of the deal. But it's very frustrating. And for a guy that's lived down here as long as I did, these games may mean a little bit more to us, I guess. But that's somebody asked me last night. It's like, what's a big deal like with State and LSU? I said, LSU is a team that we want to beat more than any other, because they've kind of been the measuring stick. It's not a beef. It's more of a respect thing, because when we hate losing to them, because it's a reminder that maybe we're not as good as we want to be. The team that we want to avoid losing to the most, of course, is Ole Miss. But to beat LSU has always kind of been a signal to us that, hey, we're on the right track. We've got a good club. And so to have them on the ropes last night, and then to see them come back and lay a couple of haymakers and us not respond is disappointing. I think everybody would kind of agree with that. I don't think there's anybody out there. Yeah, I had some people tell me last night, I thought we'd lose that one. I thought it would be worse than that. They all count the same. They do. So let's do our close with Blair player of the game. You guys know Blair. Blair is my friend, your friend, our collective friend in the mortgage industry. 24 years of experience. Get his expertise and know-how working for you. He'll be your advocate with underwriting and get you to the closing table when so many others can't. He's a Bulldog through and through. I can tell you he is not pleased with baseball right now, like many of you. He wants to win, right? He wants to win. And he voices that to me all the time. Steve, I just want to win. I don't care who's in the dugout. I just want to win. I don't care who the coach is. I don't care who the players are. I just want Mississippi State to win. I know many of you feel the same way. So hit Blair up, and maybe you can kind of commiserate, but also, too, get your mortgage needs taken care of. 601-500-2344, 601-500-2344. So if you're looking for your first home, your next home, or your retirement home, Blair Chandler is the name to know at closewithblair.com. So we're going to go with our player of the game. And you look through all this, you start thinking, okay, well, how do we do it? Guys, I think I got to go Hunter Hines again. He goes 2 for 3, scores 2 runs, and has the 1 RBI, and also walks. Best on base night, and again, led the team in hits. Ace Reese, of course, had a couple of hits. He had the big bomb early and then a single late, but those were the only 2 Bulldogs to collect multiple hits. You have 80 hits last night, and 4 of them come from 2 players. So we're going to go with Hunter Hines. I think that's the second time in a row we've gone with Hunter Hines. Our close with Blair player of the game. And I think that's an important aspect of every bit of this. It's kind of knowing exactly kind of who we are and what we are. But we have got to win games like this. In the bullpen, coming out of the fall and the spring, we said, you know what? Maybe we don't work as deeper into games with starting pitching. And maybe that's a good thing, because we felt like the bullpen was going to be really solid. And the bullpen's been a little bit shaky here as of late. And like last night, I mean, and again, you kind of question the wisdom, too, of, you send back-to-back freshmen out there in that 5th inning to deal with very talented LSU offense. And it may not be the best thing. Now, that understood, I wouldn't have sent 2 of them out there. I may have sent 1, right? Because the only way you're ever going to learn how to handle that is to be involved in it, right? You got to go out there and do it. Well, Steve, I just don't think they're ready. Well, how else do you think you get ready, right? I just question the wisdom of back-to-back freshmen, but also, too, when we walk 2 in a row, I'm not giving him a chance to walk the 3-hole hitter. I'm just not doing it. And sometimes I think you can overthink it and think, well, this is a righty-righty matchup. I don't want to do lefty-righty. Maybe that was part of the equation. I'm not trying to speak for anybody else. But yeah, I second guess that decision because again, runners at first and second, you're probably thinking a bunting situation, and then you get into a full count situation, and you got to finish. I mean, you get a ground ball right there in turn two. The conversation today is completely different. Completely different. All right, next segment of the show brought to you by Kalido Guitars. Our friends Kalido Guitars, based out of Lake Jackson, Texas. That is a Mississippi State owned and operated business. So if you're a player or you know a player, you're looking for a new instrument or any accessories, right? I mean, I've got a guitar stand on the way now. I'm looking forward to getting it. It's very well crafted. Looking forward to having that as part of my collection. But if you need gig bags or strings or straps, anything you need, rather than just go to Amazon and just support, a big conglomerate like that, let's support each other. Go to Kalido Guitars, that's Calido guitars.com. And they're making it so easy, right? Exemplary customer service, quality instruments, their expertise and know-how, their quality advice, whether it be an acoustic guitar, an electric guitar, classical guitar, no matter what you're looking for, you can find what you need at KalidoGuitars.com. I've met these folks, great people, and they're going to incentivize you. If you order through KalidoGuitars.com, or you can call direct and use promo code BSR, you know that, beautiful Steve Robertson, that's going to get you 10% off your purchase. If you live outside the state of Texas, you don't have to pay sales tax, and they're going to make a donation. Part of the proceeds of your purchase will be donated to the Mississippi State Bulldog Initiative / Bulldog Excellence Fund. So not only are you getting a quality instrument at a great price and get great service after the sale, you're helping Mississippi State. This is a great thing. I'm proud to partner with Kalido Guitars, and you should be as well. So be sure and check them out today. I can promise you, your guitar playing friends and relatives, they'd love to have some new gear, whether it be a new instrument itself. They'd love the new instrument, but if you can't swing that, maybe getting some accessories and just have it sent to them would be a nice gesture. But also, too, you're helping a Mississippi State business and Mississippi State at the same time. Check out Kalido Guitars. All right, so today's pitching matchup, Pico calling, as you guys know. You guys know Pico well. We threw off to kind of give him a chance to stay, where he is on his training schedule, right? I mean, this is a guy, too. Even though he's 100% health, you don't want to start throwing him on short days rest until you have to. But so we're going to keep Pico on the Friday night spot. And Pico now 4-0 with a 2.52 ERA, 35 2/3 of an inning pitched, 18. So he's right at 1/2 hit per inning. Allowed 12 runs, 10 earned, 53 strikeouts against just 7 walks. And a couple of those walks, I think, were, I don't know, maybe debatable. He's done a pretty good job, too, of kind of keeping the ball down. Opponents hitting just $148 against him. Now, LSU will send Anthony Eisen. And he is a guy that obviously that we recruited last year, but pretty much understood because of Nate Yeski's contacts out west that LSU was going to be the team to beat. A lot of people were involved in the pursuit of him, but give Nate Yeski a lot of credit. And it's all about relationships when it comes to recruiting. But Eisen, it's been interesting. He has 6 starts under his belt, but he is 3-0. So he has 3 no decisions. He had one really strong game against North Alabama where he worked 7 innings and struck out 15. And so that's kind of skewed the numbers just a little bit. But the ERA is 4.5. That's a little bit beefy for an SEC starter. Cade Anderson's ERA jumped up a little bit last night too. He's now 3.52 ERA. And, State obviously had some good success against him. We had a good plan against him. The plan against Ianson is going to be a little bit different. Number one, he's a right-handed pitcher, but also he's got that overhand release. And so the angles of yesterday, not just because of the fact he had a lefty throwing, but, the sweeping action, the changeup, it's much different. Ianson's primarily a fastball slider guy. He will sprinkle in a change and a curveball from time to time. Basically, it's a show pony just to kind of keep you off balance, to let you know I've got more than just these two. But the swing rate on the slider and the fastball are really good. He's basically a ride and slide guy, and there's a lot of that, brand of baseball these days. That's kind of what when you think about what Will Bednar and Landon Sims are really good at. That's it. It's that brand of pitching. But his success rate has been a little varied. He's right under one per 32 innings pitched, 27 hits. He's allowed 16 runs, which is the most of anybody on the LSU staff. But he doesn't walk many guys. 46 strikeouts against just 8 walks. Among the starters, that's the best. But he's also done a good job keeping the ball in the ballpark, not just at LSU, but when he was at UC San Diego, he only gave up 5 home runs. He's only given up 1 this year. And you know what a launching pad at Alex Box Stadium is, even though it hadn't turned really warm yet? So he's going to keep the ball down. So I think you're going to have a difficult time, getting the solo home run. I think you're going to have to piece things together. And you're probably going to have to get 3 hits in an inning, more times than not. So you got the bunch hits together. And that's been easier said than done with Ianson on the mound. And so control at times has been a bit of an issue. And you say, but Steve, he only walked 8. He's got a hit by pitch. He's got 5 wild pitches. And not all of those are purposeful. You know what I'm saying? And opponents are hitting 227 against him. And so, I think we're going to be able to put the ball in play against him. But he is a guy that kind of makes you hit his pitch. But again, 3 no decisions. So he's left some games either with the lead or behind, even though they ultimately came back to win most of those. But it has not been maybe what people expected. A lot of people thought that, Chase Shores and Ianson and Anderson could be the best rotation in the country. And you know what? They may prove to be. But again, give Jake Gautreau and the staff a lot of credit last night for putting together a great game plan. Arguably one of the worst games that Cade Anderson has had in his college career. He has now allowed 8 home runs on the year, and 3 of those courtesy of your Mississippi State Bulldogs. But, we talked about Zach Cowan, how filthy he was last night. Guys, he is almost working starter quality innings. He has 10 appearances on the year, which is tied for lead on the staff, but 25 innings pitched. Chase Shores, their Sunday starter, has thrown 27. Yeah, so the fact that maybe we've got Cowan burned for the weekend is a good thing. You saw how filthy he was, and a lot of it is that changeup. That is a plus change. That is a legit changeup. And had us out in front. A lot of strikeouts on that changeup. But the ERA of 1.07, he's allowed 13 hits. So kind of Pico-type numbers there, right at a half hit per inning. Allowed just 5 runs, only 3 of them earned, and 36 Ks. That dog will hunt right there. 36 Ks against just 3 walks. And again, we only allowed he was only allowed us 1 hit, and that was Ace Reese leading off that inning. He struck out 7, didn't walk anybody. And so kind of good to see him get out of the way. But, he's not the only one. He is probably the best arm on this staff. And I think through the first game, we have seen the best they have to offer pitching-wise. That's not to say they don't have other good pitchers, but we have faced their best 2 arms so far in Zach Cowan and Cade Anderson. And so, we'll look ahead tonight. Game is at 6:30. I know many of you are excited about the game. Other people are just planning to endure the game. But this weekend is not over. And that's the thing, too. If you win today, and we'll see what happens tomorrow, with Shores pitching, and just kind of give you just a little idea of him. Chase Shores, a guy fresh off Tommy John, missed all of last year, and Cade Anderson and Chase Shores both turned down big money to go to LSU. And Chase, 4-1 on the year in 6 starts with a 4.88 ERA. And of the starters, he is working, the least amount into the ball game. He's just not a guy he's not a high level guy yet when it comes to being a workhorse. That's not in any way a reflection of his stuff. He just hasn't built up enough yet. And I still think he's a guy that's going to get drafted really high. The guy's really, really good. But we've all seen it. Sometimes it takes a year of rehab and then a year of pitching to kind of get back to where you were. We saw that with Pico last year. It kind of took a little while. And now you see what he is this year. And so you start thinking if you're Chase Shores, maybe you have a decision to make about coming back to school. But He has given up 33 hits and 27 and 2/3 of an inning, so over a hit per, and then 15 earned runs. So he's given up half a run, actually a little bit more than that for every inning pitched. And so we should be able to score against him. The strikeout to walk ratio is about 3-1. It's not nearly as gaudy as what Anderson and Ianson have done. 30 Ks against a dozen walks. And he is a guy, too, that gives up some extra base hits. Maybe not the way Anderson does. And I think Anderson kind of got ambushed a little bit last night. But you can put the ball in play against yours. Opponents are hitting about 300 against him, exactly 300 against him. But yeah, there's still some arms to go in this pen. They only threw 2, and you got to feel like that. You know, Benj could come back if he wants to, but he's kind of a 1 inning guy anyway. But I was hoping they'd leave him in the ball game. They didn't. But Connor Ware is a guy that we may see. He's worked some in midweek, but he's also worked some out of the pen. And then DJ Primo is a guy, too, with a no record, but a 2.35 ERA, 10 appearances, but he's working less than an inning per, and so that's a guy, too, that struggled a little bit at times with control, but 7 Ks, 5 walks. We may see him, but this bullpen is kind of thin, to be honest with you. One of the guys I do expect to see is Jaden Newt, who pitched pretty well last weekend against Texas. He has a 2-0 record, 9 appearances, 2 starts, 3.55 ERA. But another guy, too, that not working deep in ball games. 12 and 2/3 of an inning, allowing a hit per, 6 runs, 5 of them earned, 16 Ks against 6 walks. But I suspect that we will see him at some point this weekend. But, yeah, you win today, then all of a sudden the noise kind of breaks down for a little bit. And then you kind of begin to wonder what happens on Sunday. But, today we got to focus on winning today, period. Next segment of the show brought to you by Campus Bookmart, a Starkvillian institution. We love Campus Bookmart, and so should you. The best selection of Mississippi State merchandise in the universe, no doubt about it. If you're looking for apparel, gift ideas, ways to detail out your fan cave, then look no further than Campus Bookmart. If you can't make it to town but would still like to support a Starkville business, and we always appreciate that, check them out at campusbookmart.net. And by being a loyal Boneyard listener, we'll give you a phrase that pays, and that is BSR, which stands for Beautiful Steve Robertson. That gets you free shipping on all orders over $75. Any order less than 75 bones, absolutely incomplete. And again, graduation's coming up. Think about the diploma frame. It is a great and timeless gift for your Mississippi State graduate and your family. And maybe perhaps nobody ever bought you one. Maybe treat yourself to a diploma frame. You can pick out your own, and you can display your Mississippi State diploma with pride, either at home or at work. I don't know where you work. I don't know if you've got an office space or not, but you earned that diploma. You worked hard for it, and you deserve the recognition for it. Be sure and check that out. So let's look around the SEC, kind of see how things went last night. I don't know if you guys keep up or not, but I'll be honest with you. Like when we lose a game, one of the things that I try to avoid is jumping on the message board and like reacting emotionally myself. I give people room to vent. That's what I do. It's one of those things, the mistakes that I've learned from over the years. When we have an emotional loss, you guys have a right to vent. And I don't like the personal attacks and things like that, but yeah, when we lose, I think you've got every right to voice your frustration. And let's show a little tact, but nevertheless, I kind of plug out. I kind of just check out, let everybody say what they need to say. I check back in the next morning, and if somebody gets carried away, we may have to address that. But by and large, I just kind of let people have their moments. But another game that was in action last night, Ole Miss beats Florida and Oxford 7-5. The Gators now 0-7 in conference play. It was a 3-3 ball game after 3, and then Ole Miss kind of breaks it open there with 3 in the 5th to make it a 6-3 ball game. They tack on 1 there in the 6th, and then Florida gets a couple there in the 7th, but could never get even. Hunter Elliott credit with the win. 5 innings, 5.2 thirds of an innings pitch. He's now 5-0 on the year. And, you remember that young man too. How difficult a journey it's been for him to get back. And even though it is Ole Miss, we do wish the best for Hunter Elliott. It's not against us, right? Everybody else gets in action today. kind of running it back. Of course, Florida, Ole Miss will be going for the series win against Florida. Auburn and Georgia will get underway, and I wonder how this weather will play out the whole weekend for everybody. There may be some games that don't get played. Looks like Ole Miss and we're going to play a doubleheader today. Yeah, they're going to Ole Miss and Florida are playing doubleheader today. Tennessee is at South Carolina. I think this is one we talk about how elusive the road sweep is. I think you're going to see one this weekend at Founders Park. Nathan Hall's been really good for South Carolina, hitting almost 400 with 4 tanks, but there's just not a lot to go around. And Petrie's a guy, too, can turn a baseball around. But I think Tennessee, I said this after Houston, and a lot of people in that National College Baseball media didn't believe me. I said after Houston that Tennessee was the most complete and polished team in the country, and then they elevated LSU to number 1. After seeing LSU up close, I still contend that Tennessee is the best team in the country. Not to say anything negative about LSU. I just don't think they're as good as Tennessee. And I think Tennessee is going to smash South Carolina. And then South Carolina, of course, will head to Mississippi State. Kentucky's at Texas A&M. And A&M now 0-6 in the league. Kentucky 2-4. Probably see a split down there. But, with what's happening with A&M, I mean, they're 12-12 right now. I mean, it's nuts. And a lot of people are ready to kind of crown them an national championship before we throw a first pitch. And now 24 games into the season, they're 500. And they'll probably be a losing team by the end of the weekend. Oklahoma is at Alabama. I'm very interested in this series. I don't think Oklahoma is great. I do think they're really, really good. I think their lack of pitching depth will get to them. Alabama at home is pretty decent, right? And they're 23-3. Non-conference schedule wasn't much to kind of sneeze about, but and of course they get the 3 big wins against A&M to open SEC play. They go 1-2 last week against Tennessee, but anytime that you can get a win against Tennessee, I mean that's just a great thing, right? It is just because they are going to be the number 1 RPI team, so they're going to carry you with them the rest of the year. But this Oklahoma-Alabama thing, I think we're going to find out. This is going to be a truth-telling weekend for one of these teams. That's not to say that one of these teams will end up being poor, but this is an interesting series. I think Kyson Witherspoon gives them the best chance. Not sure what's going to go on with Cameron Johnson. They need him to be good, and he hadn't been. Texas at Missouri, so it's basically a weekend off for Texas. And I think the fine folks of Texas, when they show up at Como, to play that baseball game, they're going to think they took a wrong turn somewhere. Like, oh, where's the baseball? Oh, this is it? Yeah, it's that kind of park. But yeah, Texas, I think, should steamroll through Missouri. I think that's going to be a sweep for sure. I will be shocked if Missouri takes a game from Texas. Arkansas and Vanderbilt, I've told you guys in the beginning, I don't think Vanderbilt is great. I do think they're good. I don't think they're a top 15 team. They're ranked 14. Arkansas, of course, had the big upset loss on Tuesday to Missouri State. That Dave Van Horn will have the horns ready to go, even they're going to be in Nashville. And I think, too, with all the right-handed hitters in this Arkansas lineup that have been primarily double guys, I think that outfield wall at Vandy is going to get some work. And it'll be interesting, too. Arkansas plays on natural grass and turf and dirt. And so, how can they adjust to the Vanderbilt turf? It is, and I don't care what anybody says, it's different. People always say, well, you're getting true hops. Yeah, but it gets on you so quick. It does. The speed of the game is just completely different on turf. And I think that's important to kind of understand. So I think your winners, I think Ole Miss wins the series at home. Obviously, having a game in, right, is still important. Georgia hosting Auburn, I think those games could be very lopsided. Or maybe that's not the right way to put it. I think they're going to be a lot of runs scored in those games. To see what Irish and McMurray could do in that smaller park, I think will be interesting. And Tennessee and South Carolina, I've told you my feelings about that. I think Kentucky takes a series there. I'm going to pick Alabama to beat Oklahoma in the series, but I won't be surprised either way. I think it's a pretty evenly matched thing. And, of course, Texas should win easily. And Arkansas, I think, takes a series from Vanderbilt. One of the things that I've learned about Arkansas is, like, when they're good, you never want to play them after a loss because they come out with a renewed sense of focus. I mean, it's a very well-coached team. And so they're going to come out and they're going to defend and they're going to play exceptionally hard. And so I think that they're going to be able to take that series. All right, final segment of the show brought to you by the Stark Vegas Clubhouse. Be sure and Google Stark Vegas Clubhouse. And when you do, the Stark Vegas Clubhouse Facebook page comes up. You can peruse all the amenities available to you and your guest as you check it out. The full service kitchen, the wet bar, great back porch area, the fire pit area, 6 bedrooms, soon to be 3 baths, currently just 2. But it's the old renovated clubhouse, and it's a very neat place to stay. One of the nicest places in Starkville that's probably owned privately. That's not used as a regular residence. But if you're looking for a great place to stay and bringing a large group to town, look no further than the Stark Vegas Clubhouse. And you've thought about that before. I mean, it'd be so nice to get everybody together. Well, now you've got a place to do that. Super cool place. We've stayed there. We were there for New Year's, had a great time, and look forward to doing it again down the road. Yeah, super cool. Stark Vegas Clubhouse, the best place to stay in the Golden Triangle. And when you Google Stark Vegas Clubhouse, you're going to have some booking options. You can book Airbnb, VRBO, or you can book through the Evolve website where I can save you some money. I'm all about that. Book through the Evolve website and use promo code BSR10. That's BSR10, BSR10, and get 10% off your stay just by listening to this show. What a great deal for you. Stark Vegas Clubhouse, the best place to stay in the Golden Triangle. All right, so it's pretty fair to say like the expectations of Mississippi State baseball are not being met. I think we can all agree with that, right? And it's so interesting. I have people that say, but Steve, no, guys, there's nobody that has seen more Mississippi State baseball other than me the last several years in person than the coaches. Right? I mean, I've been here through it all. And that's not to praise me, but the point that I'm trying to make here is that when I speak, I'm not a guy that just is speaking off emotion. And that's not just because it's the LSU series. Now, of course, we can still win the series. We can. And begin to kind of turn this thing around. But we knew the first 3 weeks were going to be difficult. We knew that. We didn't think they'd be this difficult. And I guess the thing that bothers me is like we just kind of continue to find ways to lose. My point being is like, when we would play in 2022, as bad as it was, we had so many injuries to the pitching staff, we just couldn't close games, right? So it kind of became a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? It's like we'd go out there no matter how many runs we scored, no lead was ever safe. And it sucked. But you felt like, you know what, if we can get a couple of pitchers out of the portal, maybe we can turn this thing around the next year. And how many times last year in 2024, the clutch hit kind of evaded us, and I go back to, the season opener, SEC opener at Kentucky. We got a chance to win the game, to win a Friday night game on the road at Kentucky. And we don't execute a pitch. We don't block it up, and the winning run scores. And sometimes that's the margin in baseball, right? That whoever makes the most mistakes loses. We're making too many mistakes. And, the reality of it is whether some people want to admit it or not, baseball is our biggest brand. Now, some people think that it should be something else, but it's not. It's not. We are known as a baseball school. And so Mississippi State baseball needs to always be extremely competitive. Now, I don't expect to make it to Omaha every year. I'd love to. I'd love to get it to so regular that we get tired of going, right? I know it's not realistic, but we have got to play better. And I do think the schedule eases up a lot for us after this weekend, but this is the Southeastern Conference. And so my hope was when I began to put this schedule together in my mind, I said, okay, Texas is going to be really good. They're going to be fired up to come in here and play. And I'm not exactly sure about our weekend rotation, but I feel confident we'll get one. Maybe we'll get two. I'm glad we're getting it at home, but we got to get one. We didn't get any. And even though Oklahoma was 10th in the country, I still thought we'd go up there and take that series. And I think all of you would agree we should have. We should have taken the series. And we certainly should have won one, maybe two against Texas. And then I thought, hey, we'll go to Baton Rouge and we'll get at least one. We'll probably get one because of that offense and our pitching situation. But I thought, okay, well, that gives you four, right? You get through the first 3 weekends at 4-5, and then everything opens up for you. And then you go out there and chase maybe a dozen more wins or more and put yourself in a situation to be in the hosting discussion. So we are behind it, right? I did think that South Carolina coming in here next weekend would be an absolute chance for us to win a series and potentially sweep. And I still believe that. But this team at times has found a way to give away games they shouldn't. So I don't know if you can expect a sweep, but we certainly need one. But I'm just look at this point, I just want to go win a game, right? I just want to win a game. I'm not thinking about what's going to happen Memorial Day weekend. I'm not thinking about what's going to happen in the College World Series. I'm thinking about today. We need to go win this game today. And you guys know it as well as I do. I mean, LSU, we've won 89 games down here. I don't know that anybody has beaten LSU more than we have in Baton Rouge. And so I think that's something that maybe people need to be reminded about, but namely our players. And, Chris Simonis has won 2 series in a row down here, 2021 and 2023. We dropped the Friday game back in 2023 and then win the Saturday game. Cade Smith was outstanding. And then on Sunday, we kind of pieced it together and have the great comeback. And, Slade Alford and Dakota and Colton Ledbetter, we all victimized their bullpen. Maybe that history repeats, but I just want to go win a game. I don't want to talk about what if. I want to talk about what is. And, some people, just like we do in football, like, the very first week of the season, we're already playing the Egg Bowl mentally. I just don't think that's what we need to do. There's a lot left to do. And any decisions about the direction of our program aren't going to be made until the season is over. Now, we may have an idea as we get into May that, hey, we've done enough, that, hey, we want to stay aligned. Or maybe we haven't. And so we want to make a change. But, it's not this. And I went through this last year. It's like every game, like we win a game and it's like, okay, all right, everything's okay. Well, are you hear anything yet, Steve? Are you hear anything? It's like, guys, it's never going to be based on one game. It's going to be based on a totality of a season. As I've said many, many times before, I'm going to support every coach that we have at Mississippi State, as long as they are the coach at Mississippi State. But my love and my allegiance is not to a coach or to a player or to a uniform combination or a logo or any of that kind of stuff, a song, none of that. My allegiance is to Mississippi State and the M over S. And I always want what's best for Mississippi State. I still believe that we can make a run and do some good things this year. But we can't keep giving away games. And last night, it wasn't just LSU winning the game. LSU made the plays, but we made those plays easier for them. So we were kind of, victims of our own demise. Like we were aiding in our own demise last night. You make the big error, gives them a run, basically. And then you make some bad pitching decisions. And there have been a couple of those. And listen, I think Justin Parker is a phenomenal pitching coach. And he is only as good as the decisions that he makes and the players that he utilizes. And, again, I said it back then. I thought we were an arm short in the portal. We thought Pruitt was going to be really good for us. So far, he hasn't been. I mean, there's still plenty of time to turn it around. I mean, it's March 28th. We got 2 more months of baseball left at a minimum. So, Pruitt can still be a factor for us. And how many times have you seen it? It ends up getting hot late. I mean, we saw it with Houston Harding. And so no, I'm not ready to throw the towel in on the season because I believe in Mississippi State. And I believe in that M over S. And, Hunter Hines, the guy that's kind of getting it going a little bit too. And he's the guy too that can carry you for a little while. And I think he is getting better pitches to hit because of the fact that Ace Reese and Noah Sullivan are in the lineup. And, we got some guys that can swing the bats. But the bullpen last night was very disappointing. And, I go back to, we've got to defend and play clean because when our pitchers make plays, and they get the ground ball, they should be able to get out of the inning. They've done their job. You got to do your job, right? All right, so we're going to get out of here. We'll give you a full show on Monday, and you never know. Like if we win tonight, I'll have some time to kill tomorrow, and I don't have a hotel to check out of. Thankfully, I've got some great friends down here allowed me to stay at their place. So we win tonight. I may be back tomorrow and give you one of your missing shows. and then we'll kind of set up what is to come. But we'll see how things go. It's unfamiliar surroundings for me, so I'm not really comfortable. So I just wanted to give you guys, a show. I promised you a show. We've got the show done for you, and we'll get this up. And we've already had, I think 11 stories today on genespage.com, and we hadn't even covered baseball yet. So we look forward to seeing many of you out at the game tonight, and then also we get back to Duty Noble next week. But again, if we win tonight, I'll probably give you guys another abbreviated show on Saturday. And if you don't hear from me between now and then, be safe in all this weather. But until next time, let's all live our lives in a way we make more friends than enemies, and people can see a difference in the way we live.